por favor, Dr. Deborah. Up there? Okay.
Yes, thank you. I need that. Okay. Boa tarde. One of my two words. I'm going to be talking today about how JATS empowers scholarly communication, as well as empowers repositories and portals like SciELO, as well as empowers publishers and good things they can do with that. But let's start at the beginning. I'll have to get to the beginning. I heard some of you, I said I'm going to be talking about JATS, and you said, what's JATS? Okay, JATS is an acronym for Journal Article Tag Suite. And what it is a named collection of XML elements. Well, what does that mean? XML is a system for, you have a flow of text. You surround a piece of that text with a start tag and an end tag, and you say that is an element, and it means something. And now that I have said that that is an element, you can write a computer program and do things with it. Now, the kind of things you might want to do, metadata things, semantic information. This is an ISSN, this is a surname, this is an article title, this is a publication date, this is the name of a funding organization. That's the kind of thing you can do. You can also identify structural pieces of a journal article. This is the body, this is a section title, this is a paragraph, a figure, a table, a footnote. Another thing you can do with XML is create links. I have an article, it is in Portuguese. It is pointing to the same article translated into Spanish. It is pointing to the same article translated into English. It is pointing to the same article translated into Japanese, okay? Linking, that's what XML does. Now, the Journal Article Tag Suite is called a model of a journal article. It was originally modeling science, technology, engineering, medical articles, but now it's all journal types: humanities, sociology, soft sciences, agriculture, even the poetry people are using it, okay? You can do anything. But the thing to...
Sorry, we cannot hear you back here.
Okay, is that better? Okay. The problem is there's really bad feedback when I put it that close. Okay, I'll live with the feedback. I'd rather you heard me than I didn't leave with feedback. Yeah, okay. All right. The thing about JATS that you need to remember is this is an XML model for journal articles, one article at a time, not books, not magazines, not an issue of a journal, okay? And of course, as you see in the last line, it's an ANSI NISO standard. Some of the advantages of using JATS are really just the advantages of using XML. There are lots of these. You're platform and vendor independent. This is a Macintosh I'm using. I could pass my data to you if you're on a PC or a Unix box. It doesn't matter. Computers can manipulate XML. Humans can read it, okay? I didn't say it was pretty. I said you could understand it. It's in full Unicode for internationalization. Lots of us have names that will not go in just lower ASCII. The idea behind XML is you mark up your data once in XML, and then you publish from that. You write transforms that make multiple output products, lots of multiple output products. You make PDF, you make HTML, you make ebooks, you make whatever you need. I think this next to last bullet is really important. You can validate that you have what you want to have, that you have the structure you demand. And there's machine readable context, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Why JATS? Well, for one thing, JATS was designed for journals. When we wrote it, we looked at 45 journal modules. We took the best pieces of each. A few things the 800-pound gorillas were using. There are 2 things in there because Elsevier needed them. Okay, we're good. The price is right. This is free. The models are free, the documentation is free, some tools are free, some of these are on GitHub, some of these are available from the US National Library of Medicine. There is extensive documentation. What do I mean by that? I mean that out there are tag libraries. Here is a visual picture of what is the model of an abstract. An abstract is an optional label, an optional title, as many optional paragraphs as you want, and perhaps even sections. If you don't like pictures, we also have a big tag library with words in it. I go to abstract. There's what an abstract is. There are remarks in English. Sorry, the Japanese have translated this, but that may not do you any good either. Many things you can say about an abstract, such as what kind of abstract is it? And if I go back, at the bottom is perhaps the most useful thing we have, tagged examples. I told you XML wasn't pretty, but you can read it, okay? And let's go down to the third example here. Here is an article with two abstracts. A long one and a short one. This has a short abstract type equals short. You could have a graphical one, you could have a stereochemical one, you could do anything you wanted, okay? JATS is highly documented. Examples, recommendations. It's easily customizable. The SciELO model is a superset of JATS. And more importantly than any of this, I think, is the last bullet here. It is semantic markup. It tries to tell you what this piece of information is, not what it looks like or how it performs. Don't tell me it's big and bold and centered. Tell me it's an article title or a section head. Why do you want to use JATS? There's synergy in numbers. The whole world is using JATS. Even the big boys like Elsevier and Wiley and Nature Springer Macmillan, whatever they call themselves these days, they don't use JATS internally. They use their own model, but they can transform into JATS when they want to talk to each other. It's used worldwide. Why else you might want to use JATS? JATS fits what we call an ordinary scientific journal article. It's got front matter, metadata about the journal, metadata about the article. It's got body matter, which is just what you think it is, paragraphs, sections, figures, tables, whatever. It's got back matter, which is appendices and citations, possibly very detailed citations. So, there are a lot of advantages, obviously, to repositories, but there are advantages to publishers as well. Faster time to production. You have a single format, and that format does take longer to make. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But once you have it, you write a transform, now you can push a button, make me HTML5, push a button, make me PDF, make me a web app, make me an accessible file, make me something in Braille. You can do all of that from a single source. You can interoperate with each other. I can send you JATS files, you can send me JATS files, I can read them. I probably can't read the content because I can't read Portuguese, but I can read them. The idea of this is to speed the time and reduce the cost, and that is what is going to make open access more accessible. It also improves quality. The editors, your editors, reviewers, production people get the advantages of using JATS. Improved communication, investment in tools you can use all the way through, and the big one, the one I like, improved quality assurance. QA, when you make PDF, your quality assurance is you read it. Does it look right? Whoopee, okay? I want to be able to check my business rules. I want to look for irregularities. I want to be able to say things like, all my citations need to be referenced at least once. No citation may be referenced more than 5 times. All my tables need to be referenced. I can do that kind of thing. If you have authority files that give you journal abbreviations, you can do that kind of thing. You get a lot of control over references. And the cool thing about XML for QA is that you have all kinds of techniques that are not available to you if you're just writing in Word or making a PDF. Schematron is probably the most exciting of those. It is a rule-based XML validation language that you can use to go in and check one little thing in your XML. This reference says it's pointing to a table. Is it? This table says nobody's ever referenced it. That's interesting. That kind of rules. You can make false color proofs. I don't know if you've seen this, but something you care about, something semantic, turn it a bright color. If inside a citation you make the surname green and the journal name orange and the publication date blue and you start scrolling through them, patterns will jump out. This one doesn't have any orange, why not? Okay? There are all sorts of exotic XML techniques, but my favorite, if you have wrapped tags around it and said this is something, this is a surname, you can get a list of all the surnames in your document, and a human being can just read them and go, Nature Cell publication. I don't think so. That doesn't sound like a person's name to me, okay? So I maintain there are advantages to the publishers, to the archives, but there are also advantages to science and open science as a whole. The metadata inside your XML document travels with that document. You have article-level metadata, all the bibliographic stuff you're expecting, the article title in many languages if you want, article identifiers. I must be the 20th person today to say DOI, DOI. This is where you put them. You have article identifiers. And if you have other article identifiers, you have an archive ID or a publisher ID, you can have more than one identifier. Copyrights, permissions, finding aids like abstracts and keywords and subjects, contributor names with alternate names. If my name is Toshiro Mifune, why should I have to have my name anglicized for the article? I want it in hiragana, I want it in katakana, and I want it analyzed, and you don't want that to show up as 3 authors. You want that to show up as 1 author. We can do that. You can specify the roles of authors. This person did the deep sea diving that brought back the samples that we wrote about. You can link that to the credit taxonomy if you want. I must also be the 20th speaker talking about orchids. How many of you have an ORC ID? Look around and applaud those people. Okay? When you go home, get yourself an ORC ID. It's easy. All you do is go online and register. Make sure your authors have ORC IDs. That is how we get publication found these days. Institutions also have identifiers, okay? Ringgold IDs, ISNI IDs, ARC IDs, okay? You can describe in great detail, if you can afford to do so, your funding. Some funding is monetary, some funding is non-monetary. You sequenced the genome, I wrote the report. You did the deep sea diving and brought me the specimens, I wrote the report. You took the beautiful microphotographs, I wrote the report. We have our different roles, and I can thank you for that and for the assistance you gave me. Data availability statements have not been talked about that much at this conference, but they're very important. They are the way researchers say, yes, my data is open, there's the trusted repository it's in, here's the URI for how you get it. Or no, my data is not open, but if you write me at this email address, we can discuss and maybe I can give it to you. You can link your terms and subject identifiers to ontologies and taxonomies, and that will help in the long term. Okay, detailed references. I think this is one of the biggies. Our citation lists need to get better and better and better, and one of the ways they get better is we don't just say, citation starts here, word, 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 citation ends here. We say, we identify parts, components, XML elements inside that citation. The journal title, the article title, the issue, the first and last page numbers, the author's surname, the DOI, a URL where the author can be found. There are lots of particular pieces inside a citation, and these pieces are different for books and journals and patents and conference papers and standards and journal articles and data. We should be writing data citations that say, here's the data set I used from this place, here's the date at which I accessed it, here's the date I used from this place at this trusted repository, here is the date I accessed it. Because the world is moving so fast that sometimes if I accessed it yesterday and I access it again right now, it's different data. So you have to know when. In conclusion, I believe, and I'm hoping I have convinced you people, that JATS enables interchange and communication, and that is good for science, and that is good for publishers, although publishers do even better with the QA, okay? and that enables portals and repositories like SciELO. Thank you.
Thank you.
Since I have finished 30 seconds early, we can change machines. Come on,
Okay,
guys.
don't worry. Thank you, Deborah.